So a high school teacher guiding you through the university major decision process, or a friend or family member guiding you through your core values? If so, then all of you have been very lucky. The reality is that change always starts with people, and most powerful community leaders have highlighted how such mentors have been crucial to their own personal development. And really, with change starting with you, all of those people who have the passion and the courage to take on the social revolution, this is the reason why Wedu basically focuses on investing in high potential leadership and students in developing communities through the means of mentorship and through the means of university education. Wedu focuses on women because there is compelling evidence that investing in women yields massive financial and social returns. I'd like to introduce you to Lee Chai. She's 19 years old, coming from a fishing village in rural Cambodia. She exemplifies our typical customer, a female, 18 to 20 years old, with a strong commitment for social change, but coming from a household that survives on $1 to $5 per day. So you can see that this is not very conducive to getting her either through schooling or university and taking on leadership roles. And through talking to more than 400 students over the past year, we've identified what the barriers boil down to. So first of all, you have a lack of information, lack of guidance. This is particularly important for first-generation students in underprivileged rural communities. Second, you have a lack of finance. Remember the $1 to $5 per household. Third, you have a lack of information. We once interviewed a student in rural Cambodia asking her if she'd like to go to Harvard or Stanford, and she had no idea what Stanford was because all of that was just so out of reach. So often, we just take information for granted without even realizing how precious even the most seemingly mundane thing can be. And you have the same problem, those free lakhs, 90 million times over the developing world. In our target economies, which is developing countries in South and Southeast Asia, we estimate the student market to be around 6 million. So what do we do about this? What do we do about this? We turn the lack upside down. Wedu provides the world's first lifelong mentorship program in the world that focuses on leadership development throughout your whole life as you proceed with Wedu. We also provide innovative financing mechanisms that are catered towards the specific situation of each student. Lastly, we also provide advisory services such as how to write motivation letters, how to guide through the motivation process. So how does all of this come together? You might wonder. Wedu invests in high potential females from developing communities. Those students are identified via our talent spotter network on the ground. We offer those students our free service lines, financing, advisory services, and most importantly, mentorship. We also expect them to graduate from university and achieve their leadership potential over time. And we are creating incentive mechanisms so they are encouraged to give back to Wedu, both in terms of financials, such as giving back and paying back the loans that they received, and giving back mentorship advice to the next generation. Some organizational milestones. Wedu was incorporated in 2012 in London, which has enabled us to attract high-profile funding, such as from Google or the Vodafone Foundation. We have also been able to attract a highly talented staff pool, including graduates from Harvard, the London School of Economics, or Cambridge. We have worked with more than 30 volunteers over the past year, currently a steady base of 10 volunteers across the globe, and we have 3 full-time staff here in Bangkok. We've also been very fast at exposing ourselves to the space. We are currently in the semifinals for Eking Green. I'm very proud to announce that we were nominated for the Global Solution Award for Women, and we're also very honored to be Social Enterprise of the Year 2012 at Cambridge University. Lastly, we also started operations as of year 1. We have reached out to more than 400 students in Southeast Asia. We're currently serving the first 5 girls that are going through to university thanks to Wedu, 2 from Myanmar, 3 from Cambodia. And we have established an extensive partner network in Southeast Asia. Mario will take it from there and introduce you about the organizational hardware of what we do.
Thank you, Shiju. Thank you, everybody. What we're really trying to do is to create an infrastructure that will enable us to serve thousands of students in the coming years. And we believe that we can scale up fast in the coming, after a couple of years, because we have identified significant economies of scale, especially in the provision of mentorship service. We basically need to reach 400 to 600 students, and we expect to be able to do it by 2015, before the cost per student become low enough that we can scale up much fast. The way that we aim to scale up the funding is through our portfolio of financial products, which are going to be divided into future income sharing agreements, which we expect will constitute around 40% of our portfolio. This product works that the student commits to return up to 10% of their income for up to 10 years after graduation. The actual number depends on the amount of money that they take. Then there is student loans, which are about 50% of our portfolio, and we expect it to be between 3 and 7% interest rate per year, and we always keep a 10% of scholarship for those students that have high expected social impact but low financial impact, financial return perspective. So we expect our proposition to be fundable because we have identified that our proposition has a unique combination of social impact and financial return compared to existing available alternatives, and we're currently looking for funding from 4 main sources. The first one being foundations and international organization. We already got funding from Vodafone Foundation, and we hope to be able to reach organizations like UN Women and UNESCO over time. We also want to leverage on the experience of very successful online platform like Vitana, who focuses on student loans, and Kiva, of course, hopefully partnering soon, to collect funds online, leverage all the story also of the girls. We expect the return from the successful women to be impactful in the long term, and at the moment we are looking for funding from education angels, which are individuals that want to invest in education of our students. So why should anybody invest in education? Well, if you travel in an airport recently, you may have seen the HSBC new commercial that highlights how investing in education could be the wisest investment you can make in the future. So they're really saying it all. And we believe that they're right, because basically investing in Wedu means investing in the income earning of our girls. This example from the United States highlights how wages are highly uncorrelated with stock return. They are much less volatile than that, and they also represent a very good edge against inflation. Therefore, we believe that future income sharing represents an interesting proposition for investors. We expect to start our for-profit activities in 2014, and we expect to break even by 2019. We're going to structure several funds allocating resources in different countries through our modular funds. Each fund will be 4 to 9% gross return, and it breaks even at 150 students. So basically our main innovation are 4. So one is innovative service mix, between combining mentorship and financial support. The first, lifelong mentorship. The financial products that are not known in the countries where we are operating in Southeast Asia. And we are innovative use of social collateral that we are developing with the London School of Economics to leverage on the learning of microfinance, but building on it. So in terms of social impact, we're basically investing in women. And it's complicated to measure what's the impact of a great social leader. Therefore, we identified with the Acumen Fund impact managers that an SROI will probably underestimate the impact that we're doing. And we are using their measure called the BECO, which is the best alternative charitable option, which basically measures the impact of Wedu as a number of folds the impact of a comparable charity already existent. And you've seen that even in very pessimistic...
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
So question, so it would seem like one source of, over here.
Yeah.
Hi. So it would seem like one source of resources for you are corporate or other large organizations who can provide mentors. So what is your strategy to engage larger organizations to drop your cost per student to single dollars rather than hundreds or thousands of dollars?
Sorry, your question is referred to attract funding or attracting mentors?
No, you had a cost per mentor chart from $15,000
Yeah.
per student,
Yeah.
which was exorbitantly high,
Yes.
to something that looked like hundreds.
Thousands.
Well,
that's the overall cost that benefits on the economies of scale.
So how do you get that to $2?
Is really increasing the number of students. At the moment, the infrastructure has that ridiculous cost per student because all the overheads are spread over only 5 students. So that's the overall cost of service.
So what's your long-term low cost? What's your long-term cost per student?
It's $1,200. That's where it says.
That's too high. That's the average income in some countries.
If you think about other scholarships, for instance, administering a scholarship per year, it's one of our competitors costs $700 per year to administer a scholarship. That's only scholarship, so not providing risk management, not providing mentorship.
All right. I think you're missing a opportunity to drop your cost by orders of magnitude.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Question?
2 questions.
Yeah.
The first is on, it seems like kind of a key to your model from the financing piece will be to develop a competency around collections. Specifically with student loans or with income sharing agreements, you'll need to maintain a relationship with the students for a long time after graduation. So I'm curious kind of how you're thinking about building out that competency in the team. And then second question, semi-unrelated, is around the quality of education that the women with whom you're working are getting. And I'm curious how you think about that in terms of what schools they attend.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So in terms of collection, we are really seeking partnership with microfinance institutions, largely to manage as a service the collection part, especially in relation of the student loans. You may have seen in the business plan that we have already got in touch with 4 institutions, and one is actually very interested in partnering with us. When it comes to the quality of education, we are currently having a research project in combination with students from Oxford and the London School of Economics about rating different universities in Southeast Asia. And what we are basically going to do as part of the advisory service is really to help students understand where they can get the best value for money, especially because it's going to be our funding. At the moment, what we are not suggesting which university can go, so the students are selected, but in the long run that's going to be part of the advisory. We are actually hoping to be able to send students to top universities in the region as soon as possible. So for instance, our Myanmar students are studying here in Bangkok already, and we identify some universities here in Thailand, in Singapore and Hong Kong as very good potential destinations.
If I could just do a quick follow-up on the first piece with the microfinance institutions. We all know that interest rates in microfinance are quite high, and in your business plan in the presentation you mentioned that kind of you're aiming for a target interest rate of between 4% and 7%, if I remember right, and that's markedly lower than microfinance institutions in the region. So I'm wondering how you'll achieve that.
So for the moment, the initial conversation that we had with our partner is really just on a service agreement for collection. We'll provide in the capital, we'll provide in the selection, we'll provide the risk management. So we're really basically asking them to go and do collection. On the other hand, there is experience from other organizations here in Southeast Asia, actually active in the Philippines. They are doing it completely online. So delivering funds on asking people to open an online account and retrieving funds online. They've been pretty successful. We need to understand if that collection system is applicable in our target economies now.
Yeah, so I am such a believer in the issue that you guys are addressing, education, and there's such a need out there. You cannot grow this slow. It's too urgent, right? So what is holding you back from hitting your year 3 numbers in year 1? Is it enough mentors? Is it the capital? Why can't you grow more quickly than this?
Very interesting question. So what we're really is really the slow piece of development that we're doing is we are set up in the first year the selection system. So basically we target 5 because we just wanted to see, can we reach those students? Do the students exist to begin with? So we weren't focused on the number then, which also explained the enormous cost per student. Now next year we'll be piloting student loans, and we'll start doing future income sharing agreement, more research. We did massive amount of data. Collecting those data, takes time. If we had more money, we'll collect it faster, but with what we expect to get, it will take a couple of years before we can stabilize the parameters of the financial product.
Okay, but in your plan, you say the 1,500 students at scale. Is that right? That's the...
Per year, year 10. Yeah.
Okay, but there's 150 million people in your region,
Yeah.
so why are you only sending 1 out of 100,000 people to college?
Okay, this is an important question. What is useful to highlight is that our goal is really leadership development for young women. Therefore, we tend to be very selective at the beginning. We're not trying to increase universal access to university. Our goal is not to send everybody to university, but it's really to identify those powerful change makers that can then have snowball effect into their community. That limits ourselves a little bit. There is another element, which is money. What's really holding us back is the financial part. The reality is that on the mentorship side, we will do hundreds of thousands. But if we are balancing it with the funding part, we need to be more cautious on the numbers.
I guess I'm in the demographic of your education angels.
Yeah.
What do I get for supporting your girls as opposed to just finding a promising young person myself?
I mean, if you're able to find a promising girl yourself, please become a talent spotter. So we also give her mentorship and connect her with her community. Indeed, we expect Education Angel also to manifest themselves, not only for funding, but to providing mentorship and having talent spotter role. So if you are an investor side, you will get a return from the future income sharing agreement, especially. There's going to be, depending on what's the target and the country where you would like to invest, between 4 and 9% gross.
So you're matching me?
If you are a mentor, we are matching you. If you are a funder, you probably won't be matched with one specific person because it works with the logic of a fund. So all the money are pulled in and then we have to decide the risk allocation on students. So there we can't give too much discretionality on people.
Okay, what's interesting to me is that your service is quite customized for every student. Is that correct? That you give lifelong mentorship and all of these different things. So these are very interesting and for sure very valuable for every student. But how do you plan to do this to provide the quality of service while still achieving your scale? Because 1,500, while compared to millions, may be small, but it's still quite a significant number. So how do you plan to do that?
Well, if you look on the mentorship side, perhaps maybe Mariko Shi wants to answer this one.
So the question was, how do we continue to customize our service to the students?
Yeah, while still maintaining the quality and still achieving your scale.
Right. So we've looked at our selection process for our mentees and our mentors. And right now we're testing a few things, but we're really looking at what are the key things that create a successful partnership so that then we can make it a more efficient process. So right now a mentee's applying and they're filling out their goals and what's important to them, and we're matching them on those characteristics. And so if we can really understand what the key characteristics are of a successful partnership, then we can really make that an efficient process. In terms of staffing, we're looking at when we've timed it all out, one mentorship coordinator can really work with about 100 to 150 students within a year, so when we break it all down.
Let me do a quick one. So I'd recommend you look into College Summit, which is a U.S. nonprofit, which helps middle of the bell curve kids go to school. And so they've figured out a way to deliver a low cost at scale. All right, Steve?
Just quickly, are you intending to set up an actual fund structure in every country where you operate then? Because the MFI is not going to house the capital, right? They'll just service it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we were thinking about having our main entity here in Singapore where that will manage the funds in Southeast Asia, while all the non-profit activity or more charitable activity will be always in the long run under the London entity, which is a charity. And then funds per country. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering, in your financial projections, what are you anticipating will be the amount of capital that gets repaid in terms of future income sharing? Like what percentage are actually going to repay? What's your models based on? And when they repay, never mind.
Should I answer?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.